responsible. Yes, we are not responsible in the way we have usually thought ourselves to be responsible. We think that we are responsible to grow, to progress, to build our life, to reach somewhere, to give value and meaning to life. No, that is not responsibility. Yet responsibility is there. Human beings have a tremendous responsibility, but only one responsibility. That responsibility is to keep the head down. And it can be expressed more clearly as knowing the head and keeping it down. Because if you forcibly keep it down, that is just a pretense. So the one responsibility that a human mind or just the mind carries is to keep itself down, to be surrendered, to be devoted. If this one responsibility is fulfilled, then the other responsibilities can be forgotten because they are automatically taken care of. Take care of this one and coolly forget the rest. Coolly, easily, smoothly.
Yeah, smoothly. Yeah.
Smoothly. Which means that now you are relieved of multiple responsibilities. You see, this has to be understood. We know the difference between response and reaction. Response.
Yes, response and reaction, yes, the difference.
You know that, right?
Yes.
Now, response includes free will. And we say reaction comes from your conditioning. Your free will is to be exercised really usefully only in one place, and that is in front of the total, in front of the ultimate. The only good use, the only legitimate use of free will is that it remains surrendered. In your free will, in your total freedom, you decide to surrender. And that is the only type of surrender possible. A surrender done in freedom. This is response. This is your responsibility. The total comes to you and you respond. Your free will responds. It says, out of my free will, exercising my total freedom, here I give myself up. I give myself to you. This is responsibility. There is no other responsibility. Other places, even reactions would suffice.
For the highest, no, only that.
But for the highest, response is needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
The body has a certain chemistry about it. It knows, for example, how to digest the food that you have ingested. Yes? Their responsibility is not needed. Even reaction will suffice. Their free will is not needed. Their response is not needed. Just reaction is sufficient. So if you have the right chemicals, the right juices, the right enzymes in your body, right reactions will happen and the food will get digested.
That's what we call instinctive.
You can call it instinctive, you can call it conditioned, you can call it chemical.
Yeah, chemical maybe better.
Chemical, yes.
Yeah.
A stone comes towards you. Your body knows what to do. You get a wound. Your body and mind again know what to do.
Mm.
Hmm? You catch a virus.
Mm-hmm.
Your body and mind again know what to do. And this knowing is evolutionary knowledge.
Yes, yes.
This knowing is just a reaction. Let that reaction happen freely. You need not bother.
Yes.
Yes, there your free will is not needed. There, in fact, the evolutionary knowledge is needed. There, even the social knowledge is useful.
Yeah.
Body works as per evolutionary knowledge. It has learnt a lot over millions of years. Mind works in both evolutionary and social knowledge that it has learned from society, books, education.
And
It has
that's-
both.
Yes, I understand that.
It has both. Let them operate freely in their respective zones.
Yeah.
And that operation is a reaction.
Yeah.
That operation is a reaction.
Yeah.
There you do not need intelligence really. There what you need is instincts.
Yeah.
And instincts are sufficient there.
For mind as well.
For mind as well. But remember that the foundation must be right.
Always.
Responding to the world, you can use knowledge. But the foundation of that knowledge must be surrender.
Yeah.
So, surrender first and surrender in the right place, and thereafter you can let the body, mind and the world play their own game freely.
Mm-hmm.
Then you need not bother.
Mm-hmm.
Am I doing the right thing? Am I taking the right decision?
Am I taking the right pill?
Am I buying the right clothes, taking the right pill? Now you can let knowledge blossom.
Right.
Now all your knowledge that you have gathered from books, from education, from society, from anywhere, from experiences, now all that knowledge will be put to good use.
Now that can blossom. I understand.
Now that can blossom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now it can
So
fulfill its true
now it
purpose.
can fulfill its real
True
purpose, and its
purpose.
real purpose is the continuation of the body and mind,
System.
the system. The organism must be taken care of, and that is the use of knowledge.
Yes.
And knowledge will now,
Well, maybe I don't have to write it.
yes,
I'll
and
just
knowledge
read
will now do its thing.
Yeah.
But again, in the spiritual field, one sees a lot of confusion. Confusion with respect to the right place of knowledge. There have been teachers who have been denouncing knowledge. They have been saying no, knowledge is no good. And secondly, surrender has been talked of in a very misplaced way. One talks of surrender as if one has to surrender to the thief who is robbing you at gunpoint. One talks of surrender
Yes, absolutely.
as if one has to surrender to a virus that has entered your body. One talks of surrender as if one has to surrender to one's laziness, one's inertia, and as if one has to surrender to all of life's travails. No, you don't have to surrender.
Or to a dictator.
Or to a dictator. You don't have to surrender there. You have to surrender only to the one. At no other place must you surrender.
So
Never, never surrender to any object in the world. Never.
object in the world.
Never.
Object. Never.
Ever surrender to any object in the world.
Surrender.
This head should definitely be bowed down. But only
To the highest.
to the highest and not to anybody else.
Only bow down to the highest.
And there it should bow down in love, in its free will. Not because the ultimate is a dictator who wants you to keep your head down.
But only love can do this.
And it bows down only in love. It bows down only in a deep, heartfelt respect. which means that this surrender is a very voluntary surrender done in the most free of wills. You decided that you must surrender. It was not demanded of you.
But actually, can I just give an example? I was thinking, maybe it's in the book. Like one of those bowing down would be a love for discipline
Yes.
that comes
Yes.
because of love for the highest.
Yes.
And then it's not a doing, it's just love.
You see,
doing.
you know, the word discipline and the word disciple are very closely related.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Disciple means student.
Yeah.
Discipline means the order that you get from the master that you have bowed down to. So discipline means carrying out the orders of the master. That is what discipline is. Discipline does not mean that one follows a pattern. Discipline means one follows the command of the highest. That is the real meaning of discipline. That one is a real student. That one is really surrendered. That is what discipline means.
Question. Yesterday, after the rehearing, I was invited for dinner. After that, I had a quick dinner with the guys, and then I went to walk for the walk in the sun. Is that is an offense to the discipline? By just turn it around?
It cannot be said. Looking at the action, nothing can be said. Only you have to tell who the actor was.
Exactly.
The very same action, the very same mechanical movement of hands and legs, the very same utterance of the words can come from two very different places. I could say this to you as a person, and these words can come from somewhere else. Only you can know.
Yeah.
So if you talk of an action and you put it in front of a teacher asking, is this action the right action? The teacher will have no answer to give.
That's inner core splitting honesty or inner piercing honesty.
Only you can know what was really happening.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Now we come to this thing of surrender and love. You talked of love.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of talk of this thing called unconditional love.
Yeah.
It is beautiful, but often misplaced. Unconditional love can be only towards that which is unconditional, which means the ultimate, the total, God, truth. Unconditional love is the pull of mind towards truth. Unconditional love does not mean, I repeat, that you will have unconditional love for someone who is hacking you down with a knife.
And that's, you remember, that's how we've been taught in various religions.
Yes.
Give one, somebody hits you in one cheek and you have to turn the other cheek, or you have to be beaten.
No.
Let yourself be beaten up, and whatever happens, you have to be great, graceful, grateful, loving, forgiving, and so on. All these labels.
No, you have to be loving in every situation. But what does that mean? That does not mean that you have to exhibit love towards your executioner.
Exactly.
Or the person who is cheating you or tormenting you. It means that even when those things are happening to the mind body, the mind still remains loving towards the truth. The mind still remains surrendered. So practically what would that mean? Please see. Somebody is standing in front of you with a gun and threatening you. Now what does loving conduct or unconditional love mean in this situation? Let us explore it. Somebody is standing in front of you pointing a gun towards you. What does unconditional love mean in this situation? Unconditional love means that because this mind, because this self can love only the one, hence this head will bow down only to the one. It does not matter whether you are standing in front of me with a gun or a cannon. This head will not bow down in front of you because I am a lover. I will not bow down to you because I am a lover. Hence, I will not bow down to you. I love the ultimate. I love the total.
I will
And
never
because
forsake, I will never forsake truth.
Yes, I will never forsake truth. And because I love the total, hence I have no fear. And because I have no fear, I can fight. I will fight fearlessly.
You will fight fearlessly.
So love in this case means fighting fearlessly, which to uneducated eyes, which to unspiritual eyes will look like violence. They will say, oh, he is not a loving man, see, he is fighting.
Judgmental eyes.
And to judgmental eyes
look like violence.
But they will not be able to see that this fight is arising out of a deep inner love. Unless you love the truth.
I have an example of that, but I don't want to. It seems I am a little ashamed of this example.
Yes.
So
Unless you love the truth, how can you fight fearlessly?
you cannot.
Yes. So unconditional love in this situation would mean picking up a weapon, fighting, even letting blood flow.
Yes.
Yes. Surrender or love. These are terms applicable only to the beyond.
Yes. It's
They
not
must-
in our domain.
Yes, they must not be talked of in worldly terms. A lot of mischief happens and a lot of suffering results from that when people, and especially teachers, bring these terms down
Dogma.
to the level of dogma or principle or concept. Then they make it something to be practiced with respect to people and objects in the world. They say, now practice this. Have you not heard these terms? Practice love, practice compassion, practice kindness,
Practice forgiveness.
Practice forgiveness.
Practice prayer.
practice praying. The moment they come down to the level of practice, they have lost their essence.
Oh, I'm so glad you're saying this. I'm so happy you're saying this.
Moment you hear a teacher uttering the word practice, you should just run away for your own life. So surrender to the one. Be wedded, not only loving, be actually permanently wedded to the one.
Yeah, the wedding. Yes, that I like that too.
With no possibility of any divorce. Permanently wedded to the one.
God's bride.
Yes, be God's bride. And with the world, never feel any obligation. There you can marry and divorce the next day. There you can go and hug someone and you have equal freedom to hit someone.
With the world, never feel any obligation.
In the world, never try to have a manual for your conduct. Never in the world live as per patterns and do's and don'ts.
Yes.
With God in the heart, you have all freedom to operate in all ways in this world. Now you need no discipline. The only discipline is to be surrendered to God. In the world, dance.
But again, that's your responsibility.
And that is your only responsibility, to be surrendered. Remember that this responsibility does not entail doing anything. It only entails that you remain watchful against your doing. It does not mean that you have to do anything in particular. It does not mean that you have to go to the temple 5 times a week or something. It means that you have to be watchful about what you are already doing.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That is your only responsibility. Don't follow any other orders. Refuse.
Don't follow anybody else's orders.
Don't follow anybody else's orders. Refuse to follow any commands or any commandments coming from any source except that source. Which also means that the man of God will be not only a rebel but actually a renegade in the world.
A renegade. Just
Renegade.
another word.
One who lives out of the
Out of the box,
established
out of the
order.
box.
Out of the established order. Because he will not appear like following any orders. The fact is that he does not appear like following any orders precisely because he is following the divine order. Having met the divine, he is so captivated, so enamored, that he cannot now accept any other orders from anywhere else.
Yeah, clear. It's just a natural response to not be able to follow whatever others.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now you see why a Jesus is physically crucified, and
Sure.
there are many others who have been crucified not physically but in other ways.
Or throw in the with the lions, or just with mouth, or made foolish, made
Or-
fools
or-
of,
Or they have been crucified by turning them into idols.
oh yeah, that too.
That is an even more painful crucifixion. When you
Oh, that's
turn somebody into a demigod, into an idol, into a role model, that is crucifixion even worse. So man never likes those who take orders only from God. Man in some way injures them, tries to harm them.
Yes, of course.
Hmm?
Yes, I see.
In the case of a Christ,
Look at
yes,
history.
yes, in the case of Christ, the wounds are visible. In the case of others, the wounds are not visible to the eyes. But man will definitely inflict wounds on a Krishna, on a Buddha. It is not possible
To not do that, no.
to not to do that.
No.
Man will pick up Lao Tzu and misinterpret him. That is like crucifying Lao Tzu.
Well, they have all been misinterpreted. Look at Muhammad, Allah.
Yes,
What has come from this?
yes.
My
Man
God.
will take Muhammad and crucify him by totally misunderstanding
Yeah.
him. Because man never likes the one who takes orders directly from God.
Yeah.
The society wants you to take orders from man, from the social systems.
Of course.
If you
Yeah.
take orders from God, then you belong to nobody. Then
You cannot
nobody,
be controlled.
you cannot be controlled,
manipulated.
and nobody can say that you are his or hers in particular. So your wife can then have no control over you. Your husband or your father can then have no control over you. They feel frustrated.
I know about those things as well.